heard you were here. You left me to die.
First I robbed you.
Welcome back, guys, to the Binge List and episode 1 of season 8 of Game of Thrones. We just finished watching the long-awaited first episode of the final season of Game of Thrones, and it was worth the wait.
Wait a minute now. What's your name? Your title? You gotta announce your title.
I am Lord Curt of the Spottenburg. And who are you?
I am King of Greenville, Lord of House Chapel, Protector of Idiots,
the tuber of you,
Patriarch of Critics, and bad critics everywhere.
The Lord of the 7 YouTube channels.
And we got our little
in the spirit
Winterfell goblets.
In the spirit of the 7 kingdoms in Westeros, we are drinking. What is this wine?
It's Lambrusco.
But what did you call it from the show?
Arbor Gold.
Arbor Gold. So
in our world, it's Lambrusco. In their world, it's Arbor Gold.
Well, let's hop into this, man. See, we got our little bit of Game of Thrones action going on here. We found
Game
some.
pops.
We're gonna add these, he's gonna add those to his props in some way or some fashion.
Okay.
I guess.
That's fine with me. I didn't know you were giving them to me. Okay.
Yeah, they're yours, man. I don't have a setup for. Man,
that's good wine.
It is.
Nice chilled wine. So, basically this episode, I should have locked up those cats.
Yeah, so basically this episode
It was a big family reunion.
That's basically... Okay, so if you don't want to know what happens on this episode, I would suggest you go watch another video because we're going to talk about what happened in episode 1 of Game of Thrones season 8. Did you catch the title of episode 1?
Oh, no, I didn't.
I didn't either. Well, maybe we can throw it down in the description.
I'll put it up in the as a title later.
Okay, but so basically... it's been 2 years since almost 2 years since the last episode of season 7, right, aired. Mm-hmm. And so what? As season 7 ended, we saw all the main players coming together for this a common cause. It's like they all have to band together to fight the Night King that's making his way south, and he has a dragon now, so that makes him even more powerful. The last episode, if you watch it, season 7, he uses the dragon to knock a hole in the wall so all the dead can come through.
One little thing I like in the opening, they have the little map, and the first thing they show is the wall.
Yeah, with a big hole.
A big hole in it. They totally redid the whole opening sequence.
Yeah, opening sequence.
It's actually pretty nice. I mean, they show inside of castles. Usually it's just outside really quick.
Yeah, mainly they focused on Winterfell and King's Landing. And I don't know if
they showed a castle that they never showed before, the Last Hearth, which is the castle of the Umbers.
The Umbers castle, which comes into play in this first.
And in the books, the Umbers were a little bit more prominent. They had an Umber character in the first season. I mean, the head Umber, he was the guy that told Robb Stark,
"I'll not sit here and swallow insults from a boy so green he pisses grass."
Because he's so young.
Yeah, something like that. Green grass.
Yeah, and he was always arguing with Robb, and they ended up betraying the Starks in the Battle of the Bastards. And,
well, on the show they did.
On the show they did.
In the books, actually, there's another Umber. There's Lord Umber, and then there's his son. They call him Small John.
Okay.
They call the Lord Umber, what they call him, the Great John. Small John, during the Red Wedding, he flips a table over and throws Rob behind it. Because they're raining down arrows on
right.
the Red
Yeah,
Wedding. So he throws a table and pushes Rob under it. So he actually has a very heroic, I should say, end in the books. But that he wasn't even a character on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Great John survives the Red Wedding, and they put him in prison. So, no, actually, they did have Small John. Small John was at the Battle of the Bastards.
Right.
He's the one that came to Ramsay Bolton and like offered his services. So he's a bad guy in the show. In the books, he's kind of a hero that dies in the Red Wedding. So that's a little bit of the difference. So in the opening crawl with the maps, they show the last hearth, which is the first stop that
for the dead
for the White Walkers to make on their march from the Wall to Winterfell.
And in this episode, mainly the things you need to realize is how all these players, all these stories that I had mentioned in the last in our predictions video, that all these stories that they've been telling for almost 10 years are finally, all these people are coming together, and a lot of them are meeting for the first time,
and they have to deal with all that because, I mean, how many? We should have made a list. Sansa has to meet up with Tyrion.
Right.
She hasn't seen him since the Purple
Joffrey's wedding, yeah.
So I'm surprised they didn't do a little bit more of that scene. It was kind of a good scene, but I felt like Tyrion would have had more questions for her. Did you kill? Because does he even know who killed Joffrey? Does he even care? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he would know. I mean,
because she knows that Littlefinger had a part in it. Maybe not. Lady was
Olenna Tyrell.
Yeah. She probably didn't know that part of it, but she did know that the Littlefinger had something to do with it. So they meet.
Littlefinger started the whole Game of Thrones, man. That little dude.
Come on,
he was a conniving.
That little what? What you gonna call him something else?
I'll just stick with dude. But now we've got Daenerys comes in riding riding next to Jon Snow, with the Unsullied army,
right?
And then the people of the North don't trust outsiders,
especially when they see Missandei and Grey Worm.
Oh, I know.
They're like, that's probably the first time.
I don't think they'd ever seen any black folks before.
I don't think the people of Winterfell are looking at them and like the Missandei and Grey Worm kind of look at each other because these people have never seen any black people.
We're not in Kansas anymore. But
let's get back to the reunion. So it's Tyrion and Sansa, Jon and Arya was a big one. Because they haven't seen each other since the first season.
Yeah, since she left for King's Landing.
Right.
And he left for the Night's Watch. So it's been that long. He thought she was dead,
Arya meets up. Arya was really the main one who hadn't seen a bunch of people. She hadn't seen Gendry in a few seasons. She hadn't seen the Hound. So she had like 3 reunions. Jon hadn't seen Bran. And then Bran sees somebody he hasn't seen.
Well, Jon hasn't seen Sam since Sam left for the Citadel.
Right. Sam meets Daenerys, which was...
and finds out that Daenerys just put the hurting on his dad and
Sam
brother.
starts talking about his father.
That was a powerful scene, man. That scene where she tells him that, I told your father to bend the knee, and he chose not to, and he was like almost. He was sad, but he was okay with it.
Yeah, I don't think he was so upset about his dad, but when he finds out his brother,
that was a fine piece of acting right there.
Yeah, because I guess he actually liked his brother.
Yeah, he said his brother was a good man.
Yeah,
so basically this episode was just putting everybody in their place, and then Gentry has wagon loads of the dragon glass. Yeah. And he's kind of like running the show and building the weapons.
Right.
He
builds that badass battle axe for the Hound made of dragon glass, man.
And of course, the Hound doesn't say thank you or anything. He's just like, right. Is that the best you can do? And then that's when Arya and the Hound have their reunion scene.
Right. And the first thing he brings up is that you left me to die. But she was like, after I robbed you.
Yeah, I did rob you first. Don't forget that part.
That was a good scene. They had a lot of little good little scenes. I like when Sansa tells Tyrion tells they have a great meeting in the hall, the Great Hall, between everybody, so Daenerys can introduce herself as queen, and little Lyanna Mormont does not like this arrangement at all because she pledged allegiance to Jon Snow, and now he's giving up his title as king. Now they gotta follow this foreign queen.
He bent the knee to Daenerys and then brought her back to the north, and so that was a kick in the face to a lot of those people that who hated the Mad King, and were willing to sacrifice their houses and their lives to stop him, and then now Jon brings the last surviving Targaryen back to Winterfell. So a lot of people are going to have issue with this, and I don't trust freaking Varys. That's a little scheming snake. He's the next one that needs to go.
Oh, you think he's scheming?
Yeah.
Was he scheming? He was supporting Daenerys the whole time. So what would he be scheming about?
I just don't trust him. I don't trust him. I think if it comes down to self-preservation, he's going to do whatever he got to do to survive. Because that's what he told, everybody, is that I'm a survivor.
Right.
So, and I just don't know what to think about Tyrion.
Well, let me get back to what I was saying, though. We find out... Well, we don't find out, but Tyrion tells everybody... They're pretty much trying to get... No one trusts Daenerys, basically. And Tyrion comes forward and, he's trying to sell her. She's got 2 dragons. She's got the... what do you call a eunuch army?
The Unsullied.
Unsullied. She's got the Raki, and my sister is sending the Lannister army to help us.
Yeah.
And
she's like, you're an idiot.
When he talks to Sansa later, Sansa's just like, I used to think you were the most cleverest man alive, but she's pretty much saying you're an idiot for believing your sister's sending her army.
And she's absolutely right.
But there was a lot of good moments like that.
But if you remember, one Lannister kept up his end of the bargain and rode north at the end of season 7. Mm-hmm. So,
and he just coincidentally sees Bran.
The first person he
sees when he gets to Winterfell is Bran.
And Bran just looks at him with those all-knowing eyes.
But you know what's crazy about it? I don't think Bran cares anymore. Bran's this new person. Yeah,
he has reached what is that? Like the
God status?
The Buddha says a level of enlightenment.
Enlightenment, yeah.
That he's reached a level of enlightenment to the point where the problems of mere mortal men he doesn't have time for that.
Right.
There's a war coming, and everybody lives and dies based on the choices.
Even when Jon hugs him, Jon like looks at him like, "What is wrong with this guy?"
Well, you can tell that something's off about
yeah,
him. You know,
yeah. Jon's is like he's gone. He's not the little. Excuse me. Too much wine.
Too much. More wine, winch.
Speaking of wine, there was pretty much two separate things going on in the episode. This is what's happening in Winterfell and what's happening at King's Landing. King's Landing, we see Euron. He has Yara still alive. She's still alive, but she's in prison. And he's keeping her alive just to have somebody to talk to. And he's bringing back some cell swords from Essos, the Golden Company. And
they're going to fry up quite nicely.
They're a 20,000 man army that he brings back. So now Cersei has her fresh army. She has Euron's fleet. And of course, Euron is expecting something
payment
in return. She first turns him down, tells him, "You got to wait till the end of the war." He's like, "Wait a minute.
I may not survive in the war.
Wars last years, so I need something right now." And
he's a cocky son of a gun, man.
Yeah, she lets him have a little bit though.
Yeah, but while he's in there, what happens?
Yeah, Theon breaks into the.
I'm sorry, he's Reek now. Who is he?
He's Theon again, but he breaks into the ship where his sister is being held and rescues her, and she rewards him by headbutting him.
They wouldn't be great choice, man.
Man, I would not want to be in that family.
She headbutts him, and then because he ran off and left her.
And then,
but if you think about it, he would have never lived through that. If he'd have tried to save her, he'd have died right then.
Yeah.
So but he was doing it because he was a coward.
Right.
But anyway, so that's poetic, and then they're sailing back to the Iron Islands to take the Iron Islands back while Euron is in King's Landing with all the ships.
But Theon wants to go to Winterfell and fight with the Starks.
And go back where it all began.
I don't think that's going to go over very well.
I mean,
what's going on with Bronn? In another scene, Bronn was offered money.
Oh yeah, Bronn's back at King's Landing.
What's his name? The hand of the queen.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either.
But he was offered money to assassinate the two Lannister brothers.
Yes. Bronn is offered money to assassinate
Jaime and Tyrion.
And he's given... What is that guy's name? Something with a Q.
I can't
Anyway, I'll put it up if I can remember. But he's offered the crossbow that Tyrion used to kill his father. Because Cersei likes...
poetic justice.
Yeah, she likes symbolism, I guess.
So he's trying to send Bronn to...
And Bronn takes it. Bronn takes the crossbow because the selling point is that Jaime and Tyrion both reneged on offers they had made Bronn. Because, Cersei had offered Bronn a castle and a wife, and then Jaime, made him give that up to go to Dorne with him that time, and so he didn't get anything in return. And it looks like Bronn is going to be fighting for Cersei now. I mean, not that he wasn't before, but he's going to kill Jaime and Tyrion. I mean,
I don't know, man. Like the relationship, those, Tyrion and him built a relationship early on when, he fought for him.
So you don't think he's going to kill him?
I mean, he acts like he's selfish, but like when he saved Jaime during that the battle where Danny comes in with her dragons.
Yeah.
And he saved Jamie. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to do that.
But he saved them so he could get paid.
You think that was
his meal ticket?
That's what he said, but then, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. What it makes me think, though, is that they want to kind of even up both sides. You got the Hound, and you got Jon Snow and Tyrion. You got all these smart and fierce people on one side, and you got what does Cersei have? She has Euron, who's a nut job, and she's got the Golden Company. But with Bronn, there's no telling what she can do now. She has still has the Lannister army and the Golden Company and the Iron Fleet. So
you think she'll move south to take over the lands that they?
I think they're going to come to conflict. And the fact that she has Bronn is going to turn the tables a little bit, because Bronn is a fighter.
Well, we'll see.
You know, I mean, why else? I mean, why else would they do make it seem like he was joining Cersei's side?
Well, if she's nothing else, she is.
She's cunning.
A strategist.
Yeah.
She knows strategy.
She's completely insane.
But she's
going to lose.
Yeah, and
if she's not going to lose against the North, she's going to lose against the White Walkers.
But here we are, the first episode in, and we still don't know who's going to die.
Right. No one died in this episode.
One person.
No major characters died. I put it that way.
The young Umber
that we never saw before.
The young Lord Umber.
Some kid they introduced this episode, so nobody died. I mean, that he doesn't really even count.
Yeah, it
no
was
major players.
A pretty gruesome death, though.
They're setting up the next episode. Somebody's going to die in the next episode. I mean,
well, we know we know
saw
from
the
leaks that the big battle takes place in the third episode.
Is it the third?
Yeah.
Because they look like their preview is happening next episode.
I think there's still a lot more of dialogue and setup that needs to happen. And that at the end of the second episode, the dead are going to be at the gates of Winterfell.
What do you think about how Jon handled the revelation that he's Aegon Targaryen?
Honestly, and I know they didn't have much room to work with, but I agree with your sentiment that he took that awfully well and believed it awfully fast.
Yeah.
But, they got 6 episodes to get this story completed. So.
Well, it was also, now that I think about it, was Sam telling them, Sam is somebody he trusts.
And that's what Bran told him, is that you're telling him because he trusts you more than anybody.
Right.
And he's like, well, he's your brother. And he's like, no, he's not my brother.
And
he's his cousin.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense that Sam would tell him. And Sam tells him right after he finds out
that Daenerys
killed his
pretty much his entire family.
Yeah. So he's a little bit angry. So that kind of played into maybe.
So now he's trying to convince. I think Sam's trying to convince Jon that he deserves a throne more than Daenerys does.
So this is gonna cause some kind of conflict. I don't know what kind of conflict, but it's gonna cause some kind of conflict.
There's a lot of egos going on here,
Yeah.
And I think that was just the way it was. That your honor was tied to your ego, or your ego was tied to your honor, or something of that nature. And bloodlines and house names and, descendants.
What'd you think about Jon riding the dragon?
That was pretty cool. Him and Daenerys chasing each other on dragons.
Because supposedly only Targaryens can ride dragons, right?
Yeah.
So
why is the Ice King on the back of a dragon?
Well,
is he a Targaryen?
He's a dead dragon, though.
Do you think that the Ice King is a Stark or a Targaryen? I believe he's a Stark.
I don't think they're. I don't know.
You have to kind of go back through the lore.
I don't think that's going to be part of the lore, though. I don't remember reading anything to that effect.
Well, but what does the White King or the Ice King, Night King, what does he want?
We don't know.
What do you think he wants?
I think he just wants to kill all the living.
Just destroy and take over the whole world?
Because I think in the books, the White Walkers are actually not. In the show, they made them look like monsters. But in the book, I think they've described as having a certain kind of beauty to them. And they can speak and they can talk to each other, but it sounds like they say when a White Walker talks, it's like ice crackling. I think it's
really?
described. So they have their own culture and everything in the books. In the show, they just want to kill everybody. So I feel like from a book's perspective, they're just
Well, the children
trying to
of the
establish
forest.
a world for their own.
The children of the forest are the ones that created the White Walkers.
On the show, that hasn't been established in the books.
Oh, it hasn't.
That's something they created for the show. So there's no real indication of where they came from, according to the books.
Okay,
Not yet, at least.
I just wonder, there's so few of the children of the forest left, if any, after
I
that.
think they're all dead, aren't they?
I'm not sure.
After the whole hold the door scene.
Yeah, because weren't those the last of the children of the forest that were in that cave?
I think so.
Okay, so we're not much closer to knowing what's really going on after one episode.
It was basically they got to get all these family reunions out the way, all these character reunions, whatever you want to call it. They got to get all that stuff out the way because you can't have a bunch of episodes where Tyrion's standing next to Sansa and you're like asking, well, what are they doing standing next to each other? They didn't even meet yet. They got to get rid of all of that, and so they can move on.
And they've got, again, 6 hours
to
finish this story.
They got all that stuff about Jon Snow being a Targaryen out the way. They got all the reunions out the way. They established that the Walkers are past the last hearth, and now Tormund and all the people from the Night's Watch, they're going to race back to Winterfell. So they set up the next episode. They did everything they needed to do in this episode to move the plot forward. Right. Now they can just have a bunch of killing, which is what we want, right?
Which, yeah, I mean, it's got to pick up because it was kind of like slow and methodical. Mm-hmm. This episode was, but and it had this very important Jon riding the dragon scene. That's important in setting up who he is and why he was able to get on the back of that thing.
Yeah.
So
I still kind of feel like they're not going to use the dragons because that's the obvious move. Is the move those dragons could char up that whole army.
But
they could. The show would end. Then.
Well, look how easily the Night King killed that one dragon.
But that's what I'm saying. So what good are the dragons now?
Right. Well, I guess for the peripheral, you just stay out of range of the Night King and just burn up the dead around.
I'm just curious to see how they go. This is a problem they created because we haven't gotten that far in the books.
If they wouldn't have gone to get that White Walker or that White, so they could go back and show everybody that they're real.
Yeah.
Daenerys would have never had to go and take her dragon to go rescue them.
That was one of the worst episodes of the entire show. The whole thing with the Raven, sending the Raven like 700 miles.
In 10 minutes?
Yeah, and all that. I had an argument with somebody at work about it. I was like, they could have easily had Bran contact Daenerys telepathically because he saw them trapped. Because he can see everything with the ravens and trees and all that. He could have just seen that Jon Snow and everybody else was in danger. And we know he has the power to talk to people because he does it to Hodor, right? In the past. Why couldn't he just send a message to them, hey, could you help Jon out? That's all they would have had to do, and it wouldn't have been that whole stupid thing with Gendry running to Castle. Was it Castle Black? Well, whatever castle he ran to.
East Watch.
East Watch, and sending a Raven. That whole rigmarole that they went through could have been solved.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was rewatching season 7.
Yeah.
I was like, for one, he ran a long way really fast.
Mm-hmm.
In cold that would kill most humans. Then she made it there awfully fast.
Right.
Of course, just in the nick of time.
Just so the whole scene was just so. Well, I guess it did serve two purposes though. Just so they could get that white back to King's Landing, and so the Night King could kill the dragon because they couldn't figure out another way to bring down the wall. And I'm talking about the producers of the show, Benoff and what's the other guy. But in the book, there's that horn that we were talking about before the show.
The Valyrian horn.
I don't know if it's Valyrian, but it's I believe it's called the horn of Joramun or something like that.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a horn that someone designed. Oh no, you're talking about the other horn, the dragon binder horn.
No, I'm talking about the one you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. In the book, there's a horn that
will wake the giants.
Well, that the free folk, Mance Radar, he has this horn. They never get to use it though because Stannis attacks, but it's supposed to supposedly take down the wall, kind of like Jericho.
But instead, which one was the dragon that got killed with the name?
I don't remember.
Drothkar, or something like that. But he just...
Wasn't it Viserys?
Well, Daenerys named all of her dragons after her 3 brothers.
Yeah, one's named Viserys. I think it was Viserys. I don't know. But
I think one's Drogar.
That's the big black one.
So that's the one that's not the one that got killed.
No, I don't think so.
But
yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the recap. It was
what we were expecting. It was what I was expecting.
Well, I was expecting somebody to die.
Well, that's true. It was. They did manage to squeeze some nudity.
But it makes now that you see it, it makes sense that they didn't have time. They pretty much didn't have time to do that. They had to get out. Like I said, they had to get all the reunions over with.
But they managed to squeeze in some boobies. You know,
they did.
I don't know how that really fit with the story, but they had to have one of those scenes.
Hey, there's always room for boobies in Game of Thrones.
All right.
Also, I'm shocked they didn't show Euron and Cersei getting it on. I was for sure they was going to show something, but instead we got a Bronn brothel scene, which is kind of standard fare for Game of Thrones.
Yep. There's a whole lot of ladies of the night in Game of Thrones.
He had 3 of them. Bronn is virile, I guess. Very virile. Oh, what happened to Brienne and what's his name? Pod. They didn't show Pod. I saw Brienne in one scene in the background, but
Podrick went
I didn't see
somewhere.
Podrick once.
Podrick went with somebody somewhere in season 7 at the very end of it. He escorted somebody somewhere, and I can't remember where it was.
I don't remember that. Okay, I have to go rewatch. But Brienne's definitely probably going to have scenes next episode because Jaime's back. So we'll see that. But that's it.
Man, there's so many dudes on there that want her. Because I think the Hound secretly is got a thing for her because she can kick his ass.
And Tormund.
And then Tormund loves her like he wants to make big giant babies with her. And then you got Jaime, and I think she loves Jaime.
I want to see her with Tormund though.
But whoever she makes babies with, they're going to be big giant babies. Because what? Jaime's like 6'3".
But Jamie's too easy. That would be they could do so much more of her and Tormund.
Well,
But we'll see.
well, guys, we're gonna do this every week as the episodes come out, and then we're gonna recap. And so we want to know what you guys are thinking. So put down in the comments what your theories are and how you like the first episode. And I guess until we see you next week about the same time, winter has came.
That sounded dirty. All right. See you next time.
See you next time.